Hello, welcome to Youth Assembly today, this Monday morning, the 25th day of January 2021. It's good to have you join us for Youth Assembly this week. It's Click Niger, and we are also streaming live on www.clickniger.net. Today, we look at US-Nigeria relations under the Biden administration. What should Nigeria expect? As we saw last week, the president of the United States, President Joe Biden, was inaugurated, and he has already taken actions to make sure that everything is going as planned before he got in there. So now, as the president takes over the Trump's administration, whose populist and American first ideology created an atmosphere of uncertainty in U.S. foreign policy towards Nigeria and the rest of the world. The Nigerian government and foreign policy analysts are hoping to see a reset in the U.S.-Nigerian relations under the Biden administration. Welcome, Mr. Innocent Odoh. He is from the diplomatic desk of the Leadership newspaper and the public affairs analyst. It's good to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So last week, during the inauguration, what was going through your mind? I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions for even Nigerians and people around the world. And we saw some changes as it pertains to Nigerian immigration and people traveling and all. So what do you think about, let me ask you how you felt the first time you saw him be inaugurated and all of the actions he took?
Well, let me begin by saying that it's a triumph of democracy, like Biden himself has said about having a new administration, despite all the efforts that were made by the former president to thwart this inauguration. It came to pass that the American institutions stood strong, stood firm against the resilient, attacks that perpetrated on it by the former president, who became ambitious at a point, trying to probably thwart the process. But eventually, democracy triumphed. And just like you said in your intro, that he started, in fact, releasing a sort of executive orders. He has released over 17 already, and one of which favored Nigeria, so to speak, or Nigerians, so to speak, about the lifting of the travel ban, imposed on Nigerian citizens and citizens of some other countries, mainly Muslim-dominated countries, as a result of some issues related with insecurity in those countries. But it is good, and Nigerians welcomed it. You can see that the president also issued a statement. President Muhammadu Buhari issued a statement welcoming that, a reversal of the ban. Former vice president did the same. So Nigerians are actually elated that that will go a long way in boosting Nigeria-US bilateral relations, which has also been upgraded into a binational commission since 2010. So we actually have a higher form of bilateral relationship with America called the BNC, that's Binational Commission. So you can see that we have a very strong relationship with the US, irrespective of whoever is the president of America.
But we saw during the Trump administration where he adopted American first and populist approach to whatever he did, and in his dealings with Nigeria, and yes, like you said, some countries. So do you see that changing under Biden?
Well, the only thing that may change is the style of engagements and not necessarily the substance.
How do you mean?
What I mean is that, okay, a lot of people are of the view that Mr. Trump, former President Trump, was very abrasive and deviated, significantly from the normal things that people believe, the conventional ways of doing things, of relating with nations. You can see how he challenged the NATO alliance and other, bilateral engagement that the United States have, like the issue of climate change, and of course, even the issue of the Iran nuclear program. So that kind of deviating from those kind of programs actually affected, some relationship America has with many other countries of the world. But like I said, American foreign policy is not about the president. It's not about it's about the system that has already been fixed. So it's a matter of style. If a president comes and becomes more, yes. So it just but the substance does not change.
No, it doesn't change.
No, the substance doesn't change.
Okay.
It has to be American interest first. But forget about Trump, who actually went to the extreme, lay more emphasis of America first. But I don't really see anything wrong with that. That tells you that a nation first has to exist in the minds of his people. Everything about a nation, should be first before any other consideration. I think that is one lesson that Africa must also learn from, the Trump administration. He put his nation first. Every trade deal that he went into, American interest has to come first. And that was why you can see that he built a trade system where he opened up, opportunities for American businesses. And that was what grew the American economy and reduced unemployment, to a level where they have not recorded in the last 50 years.
All right. Speaking about trading, and Nigeria being one of the largest trading partners, but of the United States,
Yes.
But most of the trade is in crude oil.
Yes.
So America's demand for crude oil has become low, it's dwindling. And now, do you foresee a further decline in American oil exports from Nigeria? And how would the decline affect the Nigerian economy?
Well, the decline is already affecting Nigerian economy. COVID-19 also, compounded the problem for us. There are not too many people who are, especially the US now, who are demanding more of the Nigerian oil. That affected us as a big trading partner with Nigeria. That affected our oil export to the United States. But that is another challenge that, again, like I've always said, if Nigerian economy had been diversified, we would have been talking about whether the US is buying our oil or not. No, that's not what we should be talking about. It's a lesson, like I said. Come back to the leaders must come back and understand the variables that build an economy. The variables that build an economy is not you depending only on one product, and that one product is even is subject to the dictates of international oil prices. If they're not favorable to us, your economy begins to suffer. That is the problem that we have, because we have refused to build an economy that is based on other anchors. Let's say our agriculture can serve us as a means of getting foreign exchange. Let's say our manufacturing is good enough that can open up Nigerian economy for products that you can sell to get foreign exchange. Let's say our tourism. Let's say our aviation. Just name all the various sectors of the economy that once you aggregate them, they give you something strong that you can use to negotiate your power in international markets, in international.
So apart from crude oil, what other means of trading, or what other commodity can Nigeria also trade with the United States?
Nigeria is rich in agriculture, of course, but the only problem, however, is that harnessing the potentials of agriculture has become a major crisis in this country, and that is why we're having a big problem trying to diversify the economy. Agriculture, for instance, can help Nigeria. Let me give you an example. You see, America, there's what they call Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, that was established some years ago. What was that going to do? To open up the American market for African goods, to sell in the American market. But how many African countries, how many times Nigeria have we taken advantage of this AGOA? No, we've not. Even smaller African countries like
what is stopping us from?
Because of the contradictions in your economy. Building an economy
in our economy.
Yes, there are contradictions. There are low level of thinking among those who manage the economy. They don't understand the variables of building an economy. And it pains me so much that we talk about diversification all the time as just theories. But once you come to the practical and technical competence required to build an economy, you don't find Nigeria playing a big role there. Let me give you an example. In 2014, I was in Singapore, and I visited one very big supermarket. They call it Mustafa. In that Mustafa, I tried to see if I can see any products from Nigeria. I saw what we call milk, even from beans from Burkina Faso, milk from Rwanda, many other products from other African countries. But I never saw anything from Nigeria. And I was wondering, where is Nigeria here? Even in this market that they welcome African products, Nigeria is not there in Singapore. So that tells you that the handlers of this country need to sit down and build Nigerian economy. That is the only way you can engage and be recognized in all parts of the world. Without that, what do you sell? What do you produce? What do you give to the world? What are you going to use as a strong bargaining chip in the international diplomacy, where when you stand and speak, the whole nation, the whole world will listen to you? Why do you think that no matter what the Chinese do now, the Americans will listen to China? They will listen to Beijing. You can whine all you care about Beijing not being democratic or having human rights issues. That is another thing. But the problem, however, is that you cannot ignore Beijing in international economy.
So apart from agriculture, is there any other?
There are potentials everywhere.
Okay.
Like I said, in tourism, for instance.
Tourism.
In tourism, in manufacturing. What has stopped Nigeria? But unfortunately, you see, the crisis here is that we are trying to manage an economy that was already in a bad shape. The second recession just hit us.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. Really, is a problem. But at the same time, it's also bristling with opportunities. Because out of every crisis, you must have an opportunity. But the thing is that those who understand what opportunity gives, those who understand how to use opportunities, and those who understand how to build an economy know that this is a time that Nigerians and managers of Nigerian economy must put heads together and begin to, because the potentials are already there. Only thing is that you cannot continue to tell me potentials all the time. Over 20 years ago, I started been hearing about Nigerian potential. It's a potentially great economy. But for God's sake, this is not what people want to hear in the international arena. You can't continue to tell us that you are potentially great when you're not playing in the big league. What does it mean? I'm a potential footballer, but I don't play for Chelsea. Does it make sense?
Okay, so another interest that the United States have in Nigeria is the electoral process.
Yes.
So, and human rights issues. But the way the Capitol Hill, invasion happened, one would want to question why there should be looking at the human rights issues and looking at other countries, looking at the electoral process and getting involved in it. So how did you react when you saw all of this happen in the United States and how they are always interested in what happens in Nigeria in terms of elections and and human rights issues?
Let me tell you something, my friend. We should not succumb to the blackmail of some of our politicians who want to use the U.S. experience there to begin to tell us what we must do here.
But this is a debate going on.
It's a debate going on, but let us not deviate from the lesson that is,
And what are those lessons?
The lesson is simple. Now, it is possible that somebody can sponsor, hired people to thwart a process. It is also possible that the person will fail. And that was what happened in the U.S. The organizers of that attack on the U.S. Capitol were allegedly sponsored by the president himself. Of course, the initial speech he gave credence to that before he later started withdrawing from that. Now, what am I saying here? You can see that despite the effort they made to thwart the people's mandate, it was never allowed to work. So that was one of the part of the antiques of the former president to stop the process of inauguration. All of them failed. He tried the judicial process, he failed. He tried in fact, even the judges that he appointed in the judiciary, all of them failed him. There was nobody that was blackmailed into changing the result of that election. So you can see that this is where the institutions work. It doesn't have to be the president. They are not loyal to the president, they are loyal to the constitution, they are loyal to the laws of the country. And therefore, if there's any breach of any security or any violation of the law is there to also handle the matter, to address the matter very well. So that was what we saw in America. We saw somebody trying to test the laws of America, overstretch the laws of America to the limit. Trump did that. But at the end of the day, what happened? Like Biden said in his inaugural speech, democracy, triumphed. It was fragile. He accepted that the democracy was fragile, but then accepted at the end of the day, it triumphed.
So since the democracy is fragile, the triumph, as you said, would you consider America as a model?
Very well, I will. You know why?
They can coach Nigeria?
Very well, I will. You know why?
Why?
Like I told you here, the institutions stood firm. Trump appointed judges, but all the places he took his matter to, told him, mister, you don't have any evidence that this election was rigged. Multiple times he went to the court. He failed in the court. So you can see that the institution, he didn't begin to change, judges because, of course, probably he had in mind that he may be able to achieve his aim, but it didn't help him. That makes it different here. The institutions of America have stood firm, and we must learn lesson. It is the institution, like Obama came to Africa when he visited Ghana or thereabout and said that Africa needs strong institutions and not strong men. Here in Africa, and sometimes also in Nigeria here, we have people who behave as if they are better than the institutions, they are bigger than the institutions. They can appoint, judges to help them win a case. They can remove judges in court. We saw what happened during Onoge's time here. We obviously know the political undertone that led to the removal of Onoge. Today, have you heard anything about what we call anything corruption about Onoge again? So those of them who actually spin the corruption narrative around Onoge have simply
So how do we build strong institutions?
So strong institutions are not built by merely theorizing like our people will always do here.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to do that, and it takes deliberate effort, and it takes, to avoid some of this our cultural baggage that we have in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where consideration for something good is always coming from ethnic background of the people. What I mean is that people consider their ethnic, religious, or whatever background that they have, than competence and skill. Because if you build competence, if you build skill, those variables have a way of taking a life of their own. And once they are built into an institution, anybody who comes in to practice what those skills or what those competences will be will actually abide by that. And therefore, as well, the evolution of that process will ensure that will ensure the solidity of the institutions. Therefore, anybody who sits there is not dancing to the tune of someone higher in office, because that place is already law by itself. You act according to the laws. All the circumstances surrounding everything you're going to do will be dictated by the law. That is why the Americans have succeeded in making sure that Trump didn't succeed. So Trump failed. But the thing is also a lesson. He tested the American Constitution. He tested the American laws. He overstretched the institutions. But what happened at the end of the day? As powerful as the president of the United States is, or was, Trump then was, he could not have his way. But I can assure you, in Africa, see Uganda, Yoweri Museveni has been in power since 1986. Every time they come to, every time the tenure elapsed, they change the constitution to sit in again. Now he's in the 5th term in office. What kind of democracy is that?
That is a question that a lot of African countries and leaders need to answer. But yes, it's Youth Assembly, and we are looking at U.S.-Nigeria relations under the Biden's administration. What should Nigeria expect? You can be a part of the discussion and tell us what you think about the new administration and how Nigerians can benefit from this relation. So we'd like to hear from you. And remember that this is Click Niger, and Youth Assembly is the show. And today I have with me Innocent Odoh, who is of the diplomatic desk of leadership newspapers and the public affairs analyst. And my name is Sylvia Ishimi. Okay, back to the gist of the day. Now, the part that a lot of Nigerians loved was the action that he took, the U.S. President Biden, and you know what I'm going to talk, the immigration laws, and lifting the travel ban. Now, a lot of people celebrated that. Like, okay, now I can travel to the US. Now I can easily apply for a visa and hopefully get. So what do you make of this reversal?
No, if some of them are thinking that with the way the immigration this thing was lifted, that America will now open its borders like that, I'm afraid they are living in delusion.
How do you mean?
That's not how it's going to be, because everything has a process.
Some people have plans already.
Yeah, I know, but their plans may not work. Their plans may not work because of the fact that America has a streamlined process of doing things. They are not saying that people should not come into the country. Even Trump, as abrasive as he was, didn't say that people should not come to America. He was only concerned about why would immigrants, illegal immigrants, be allowed to stay in America. That was his own problem. And if you look at it, like I said, any passionate country, any passionate president or leader of a country would think about his country first. And I don't think any country that is serious will allow illegal immigrants. In that number, there are about 11 million in the US, illegal immigrants in the US. So those were the challenges. And some of the places that, some of these
illegal immigrants in America already, they are also looking at, getting their papers with all of the laws that he has signed, the executive orders that are given, that hopefully they get the papers. So it seems like it's going to favor them than it was in the last administration.
Let them keep wishing if it will favor them. Let's assume that they are just wishing it will favor them. I do not know how far they will go in waiting to ensure that favors them. I just pray that it does. But I know there are a lot of Nigerians. I have some friends who live in America like that illegally. I only hope to also pray that they have the opportunity of having their papers normalized so that they can become free citizens of the US and contribute their own quota. Of course, America has benefited immensely from immigrants. They talk about the skills, talk about the energy, talk about the competence of the people that have visited America in recent times to contribute to the greatness of the US. But however, the thing is that, like I said, no country opens up its borders like that. No country, every country has a controlled border. There's no country that will exist today that doesn't have a controlled border. That country will be in serious problem. Serious problem. And let me tell you something about this travel ban that have been lifted
Yeah.
by Biden. What Trump, like I said, was very pragmatic in the way he imposed those kind of ban on some countries. Now look at the issue of terrorism, for example, that the world is grappling with. If Trump hadn't taken that kind of action he took, do you know the number of people that would have sneaked into America by way of using other means to enter, terrorists that will enter into America? Now remember, the alliances that Trump also, engaged other parts of the world with was helpful to ensure that the dreaded terrorists, the most dreaded terrorist organization in the world, have been smashed around the world now. The ISIS. They only have remnants who are spreading in ungoverned places like our own, where our own borders are not defined, our own borders are porous. And that is why we're having crisis here, because we do not know how to control our borders.
No, speaking of insecurity, how do you think America under the Biden administration can also help us fight the insurgency we are facing in Nigeria?
The first assignment that Nigeria will do is Nigeria to fight the insurgency themselves. The assignment is our own.
But we've been fighting it for years, and it seems like we're not really making headway. So, foreign intervention, don't you think we need it at this time?
Do you know why you're not making any headway? I tell you why. You see, when you play politics in everything that you do, everything is defined by politics. They are going to certainly have a serious problem in your hands. I tell you why. I give you an example with Trump. When he came to power, he was not going to be politically correct on issues of insecurity. He targeted ISIS, formed an alliance with various other countries, and what happened? They defeated ISIS in record time, reduced them to nothing, and killed the self-styled caliph of the ISIS caliph. What's his name again? Al-Baghdadi, Abubakar al-Baghdadi. Where is he today? He's dead like Dodo, the head of the so-called caliph of ISIS. That's what I'm telling you. Nigeria is supposed to build strong alliances, even within Africa. We have a joint military task force with Nigeria, I think Nigeria, Chad, Niger, something, Cameroon or so. But what has happened to that alliance? Why is it that we have such heavy, big alliance that Nigeria is playing a big part in, and Nigeria is not winning the war on terrorism? Why do we have that?
So you don't see any good coming out of, in terms of security,
what
coming
I'm
out of
trying
our
to say is that our relationship with the US will benefit us if we put our acts together. Now we can share intelligence.
Okay.
We can share logistics. They can help us with logistics. They can help us with weapons. They can help us with very credible intelligence that will help locate where these terrorists are and try to dislodge them and defeat them. But unfortunately, my dear friend, why we have not been able to defeat terrorism? They will tell you, oh, it's an asymmetrical warfare. Everybody is suffering it around the world. That is a very disgusting and lame excuse that leaders here will always give you. But the thing is that the internal contradiction here and the politics within have actually thwarted the process of fighting the war against insurgency. I give you an example. I'm always blunt on this issue because this insurgency has affected, I have a lot of people that have been killed, a lot of people that have been maimed who are friends and family. I grew up, I schooled in that Maiduguri, the headquarters of Boko Haram today. I went to the University of Maiduguri and we saw the building, the evolution of this crisis coming. How? The people didn't want to admit there was problem coming. And up to today, there is a way you want to address this matter, politics will enter into it. So politics has actually thwarted everything, vested interest, and ensured that the fight against terrorism is not making it, we're not making any headway. And mind you, there is also suspicion that some vested interests in the country are actually trying to ensure that they expand that terrorist, as an industry now, where people now gain as a result of the fact that huge budgets are being made in fighting insecurity. So how would you want that kind of thing to end when people are already making it as an industry? We heard that people now build houses everywhere as a result of the money they get from the security budget.
Well, we're not sure.
Yeah, but I'm not calling anybody's name, but I say we are hearing. That is a subject for investigation. We need to investigate because I do not see what. I'll give you an example. Do you know that this Abubakar Shekau, the leader of this dreaded Boko Haram sect, was once surrounded by our forces? He was to be captured either dead or alive. But guess what? We heard that a certain order came from certain high places that the soldiers should vacate the place. What happened? He slipped into he escaped.
Okay, so another issue on this U.S.-Nigerian relation is the issue of diplomatic relations, and in this aspect, blocking Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's WTO nomination by the Trump administration, or an attempt to block her a nomination. Also, the Akim Wumi
within that particular organization. That might be his perception. It might be a different thing now that now that Biden had taken over.
Yes.
I don't know whether he hadn't made any pronouncement on that yet. So we wait to hear from him if he's going to continue with the policies of Trump in that direction, or there might be some slight change. But basically, I do not know what America's interest is in ensuring that our own person, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, does not become the DG of WTO. I do not know that, honestly.
Okay, so what areas would you like to see improvement in cooperation between the United States of America and Nigeria going forward?
Well, this issue of insecurity is a major problem that we have in our hands now.
Okay.
And that's one area that we need to, build more alliances, not just with the US, but with other parts of the world, like the EU and other countries of the world who have actually helped in no small ways in ensuring that we build capacity, we increase our, strength to fight the insecurity. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that the whole thing is primarily a Nigerian affair. All you can get from other outsiders are just, like I said, help. If you need weapons that you don't have, they can offer you those kind of weapons. You need intelligence that that may help you to boost your fight against insurgency. They can do that. You need logistics. They can do that. But at the end of the day, what really matters is how you engage them in order to acquire those things that you need to help you. The same thing happens to the economy. Now that we are down economically, you also need to build inward capacity to be able to engage the rest of the world, on what you want to help your economy to revive. Because the Nigerian economy is already almost collapsing now. We're in the second recession in just about 5 years. Look at the statistics. They are not favoring us. The statistics are very, very ugly against Nigeria. Unemployment is soaring at over 27.1% now. Look at the GDP is already contracted by 3.6%. Look at manufacturing contracted by 6%. Look at even agriculture that we so much rely on also contracted by about 5%. Now look at the Naira. What value is the Naira today? The Naira has lost over 80% of it. Naira has lost over 80% of its value in the last 5 years.
What can we do to get out of all of this?
What we must do
in terms of our relationship with the United States?
Like I said, building capacity requires that you build, because foreign policy is a reflection of what you have domestically. Okay. That is what we must do. Because we cannot wait for America to come change our economy for us. If you are thinking that, I'm sorry, it's not going to be possible.
All right, so powerful words there. It's a Nigerian affair.
Yes.
Those are your words. And then if we do our part, then the United States will come in and do their own part. But we saw the viral video that went on social media, that was all over social media, where Biden called a Nigerian family and who supported his administration or his run for presidency. Did you see the video?
I don't know. I have not seen.
Okay, it's all over, and that really gave a lot of Nigerians hope that Nigeria is on his lips.
Definitely. If you look at
something good might come out of this.
Something good might come. You know why? You see, a lot of people around the world today consider the Trump era as an error. Whether they are right or wrong, I don't know. They consider it as a man. He's not an establishment person. And he's also very, very non-conformist in the way he had done his thing. This is not the kind of American president that people have known all over all the years. All right, this one is more like he's not engaging, he's not conforming to the norms and all that. Now we now have a new president who has tried to reset the agenda, who has tried to change the thinking, who has tried to bring back the American narrative to the people, to assure the rest of the world that yes, we may have had some problems in the last 4 years, but America remains the great America that is open for engagement, the great America that will assist wherever that assistance is needed, the great America that will open up its doors and windows for prospective and very diligent people who can contribute immensely to the growth of America. Well, basically, America is an immigrant society, and so they have not deviated from that norm, irrespective of the fact that Trump wanted America first. Okay, so that's opportunity that we have. It's a message of hope that yes, America is now again back to the track and ready to engage the rest of the world, Nigeria inclusive.
Yeah.
So what I'm not saying is that we have a bountiful opportunity. Like I said, the international arena is bristling with massive opportunities. That anybody who is ready to tap from the resources available can do that. You can also tap from the international market in order to build your own local capacity. That is what all of this is all about. But the thing is that if your institutions are weak, if you don't have the competencies to play in that league, to be able to spot opportunities and engage, build alliances to get opportunities to build the economy, that is going to affect you negatively. And that's why we're saying this is an opportunity. Biden has opened up a message of hope. This is the US that is ready for engagement, just like any other part of the world. NATO forces are now beginning to have a new idea that yes, America is back. The greatest ally within the NATO forces is now back. We're going to re-engage America in a more subtle way. Iran is saying the same thing. The EU, almost isolated by Trump, they are coming back again in a more in a resurgent manner to engage America, because there's nothing you can do in the world today without the US.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Nigeria tapping into the available resources.
It is possible, but at the same time, many of us are actually skeptical. You know why?
Why?
We are skeptical because of the kind of leadership establishment that we have. There are people here. Yes, that's the problem. If I have people like somebody like Lee Kuan Yew, let me give you an example. I hope I'm not taking more time here. Lee Kuan Yew was somebody who, when he became president or prime minister in his country years back, when the Malaysian Federation practically expelled Singapore from the Malaysian Federation, what happened? Singapore was like a basket case. He even came to Nigeria here to seek leadership advice on how to grow a nation. But today, what happened? After so many years, this man introduced diligence. This man introduced hard work, competence, skill, and all the variables needed to grow a nation and grow an economy. He brought them, both from within and from outside, to build his economy. What do we have today? Go look the indices, economic indices of development.
Well, it seems like
Singapore, rather.
Okay, one of our listeners or viewers actually commented, and it seems like he agrees with you. He said, as a country, we need to put our house in order. That is coming from Sheyi Ogunsheyinde. Thank you for your comment. And yes, you can also keep commenting, and also share this video on why Nigeria and US relations need to be, what do we expect from Nigeria-US relations under the Biden administration? That is the question and the topic also on Youth Assembly today. Thank you so much, Mr. Innocent Odoh. Mr. Innocent Odoh. Odoh. Mr. Innocent Odoh is of the Diplomatic Desk Leadership Newspaper and Public Affairs Analyst is where he is. Thank you for opening up your mind to us and pouring out all of your knowledge right here. And I think Nigerians and even our leaders will benefit from what you had to say today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. And to you who have been listening, thank you for your time, taking our time to listen to us. Please do share this video. And remember to listen to us on www.clickniger.net. This show was put together by Ihoma UKJ. I won't forget that. And my name is Sylvia Ishebe. I'll be back tomorrow for another interesting edition of Youth Assembly. Stay right here on Click Niger, and we will never disappoint you. Bye for now.